Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by bettors.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Boy, does this feel
10.
Boy, does this feel trite in the moment, but we carry on. Congratulations to anyone who is heavy Trump. Condolences to anyone who's worried about the future of the free world. I got my ass absolutely killed last night.
Went 0-8.
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of them were long shot, but I think the one that really surprised me was the turnout.
Popular vote.
The popular vote, yeah, too. But I played a bunch on some turnout records, and maybe we still get there. Those are still open. I'm counting them as losses.
Yes.
I thought more people would vote. It is crazy when you say how big this number is. Like, literally, there are 100 million not registered, but people who can vote, eligible voters who won't go vote. I know it's hard for some people, and there's probably some people who have issues getting to the polls through the age or situation, but 100 million is a lot. It's kind of wild that many people are just like, I'm not doing that.
Okay. Well,
and that's it for election talk.
I don't have any commentary except from a betting standpoint. I feel like I have to learn the same lessons betting the draft and the election sometimes, where it's just like, you kind of had a sense that there was a chance that the polls were going to miss. It wasn't a real strong indication of which direction it was going to be. And then I let like a little teeny snippet of information right at the death. The stupid fucking Seltzer poll really kind of changed my opinion of, if it's a miss, it's going to be this way. And the reality is the same miss that it was the last two Trumps, and the rest is history. And there was correlated bets out there. We talked about them. I didn't bet any of them. Couldn't find any of them really, but God damn it, that was absolute misery last night. And I personally feel very lucky to be in the category of people that will not have consequences, presumably, unless there is like a full-on kill the rich type of backlash in this country, which I think, is non-trivial chance in like the 10, 20 years from now. But this is going to be a rough next epic of American life, and I'm not really
interesting. I thought about that too. I was like, I kind of need the gambling industry to not tank. Like, I need the economy to stay at least at a nice level, so I can, as far as things that affect me personally.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers to the women out there. Thoughts and prayers to the wives of folks who listen to the show. I'm sure you guys are having complicated days today, complicated weeks, complicated years coming up. So people with daughters, Andy, don't know how you have the conversation with your daughter when she's old enough to ask what happened in 2016 and 2024, Dad.
And to be fair, I do live in a pretty liberal state where I think
Bitcoin power up. Yeah.
Things are Bitcoin went up. I think the most, trying to spin positive or just interesting, the French whale who went in, that was an interesting story. It turned out like he paid for his own poll. Like, I guess if you're going to, it's like you guys, like when you start to ramp up your betting, if you scale, let's say, you started fucking around, you're betting $25 on games with your buddies or something. And then I'm good at this. I'm scaling this up. I want to bet bigger money. You need to put more time and more effort and spend some money on some subscriptions to some data sites and, watch some film and do other stuff. And it's just that on a grander scheme. Like, if you're going to be betting millions of dollars into a market, it absolutely pays to spend. I don't know what he spent on this poll. I don't know what it costs to run a private poll in whatever state he did, but between that and the neighbor poll stuff, it was an interesting read.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to make anything actionable going forward out of this other than just.
I've never heard of the neighbors polling thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I just gotta get to a little bit of a some distance from this particular event and just see what happens here. But I'm pretty unenthused about the type of politics that are coming our way.
Congrats to Missouri legalizing sports betting. that sounds like they're hoping to have it in place by the time football starts next year, which is nice for all the people in St. Louis that have to drive across the border to East St. Louis to bet in Illinois. That'll be nice for those. And obviously the people of the fine people of Columbia, the fine people of Kansas City, whatever.
Yeah, just a quick sidebar. If you're trying to reach me on Twitter, which was my most common way of communicating with the gambling people via DM, I'm taking a healthy, a mental health break from observing the post. So,
we had that discussion.
If you absolutely have to reach me, find me on Telegram or text message me, I guess.
We had that discussion with a couple of people this morning. The my For You page is a disaster of clicking on stuff. Just had to go. I had to go through so many hey, I'm not interested in this. And then I start I'm like, oh, fantasy football. I'll click on that. And betting, I'll click on that. Maybe it'll start to fill it up with football again. I gave up after a little while. I think same thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to catch up on injury news a little longer this afternoon. Maybe watch a TV show. So, but we move on into, is this week 10?
Boy, yes. Week 10. The first half of the season is effectively in the book. It is in the book, but it's weird because there's buys means that I think there's some teams have played more than half their games, some have not. So I don't know if we are actually technically at the halfway point. But we have a pretty good idea of where we're going. We have a good idea of who's kind of clearly out of the mix and who is still trying to win football games, and who is just flat out good.
Rapid fire, Drew.
Yeah.
Six awards as fast as you can. If they handed them out today, all 6.
Lamar, MVP.
Agreed.
Derrick Henry, OPOY.
Yeah, that's an agree.
Jaden Daniels, Rookie of the Year. Offensive Rookie of the Year. That one's the most clear cut.
Yeah. I think is Verse favored for D.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, do Verse. Defensive Player of the Year, I guess it's TJ Watt.
I'm giving it to Surtain.
Okay. I think it's gonna. I think it would go to Watt if they voted today. And then Coach of the Year would go to Dan Quinn if they voted today, probably.
Yeah, and it is the favorites all make sense.
Crystallizing.
Yeah. Like those are your 6 favorites, and they all make a ton of sense. It's not like a couple weeks ago when we're like, why is Patrick Mahomes near the top?
And Patrick Mahomes is not out of the MVP race by any stretch of the imagination. Like if he carries on, the last couple of weeks he's completely flipped his EPA generating machine on. Now he got hurt too, so who knows if he's going to be as effective scrambling, which is such a dynamic part of what makes him special. But he's Mahomes is live, Josh Allen is live. To a lesser extent, Burrow is live. Burrow might not be live if he loses this game. We could talk about that in the context of Thursday Night Football. I think Jaden Daniels may be live, which is wild. I think it was only going to take one bad performance from him for people to be like, rookie hit the wall.
I don't see voters doing it. It's one of those where it's like in the back of your head, we'll give him an MVP vote in a couple of years. It's just too early. When you got Lamar, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes kind of in the same stratosphere, it feels very hard to give him 2 different awards. He would have to do something really amazing. And I did look a little bit. It was discussed in a chat today, and I started to look at the Mahomes price because Andy Reid said, he's fine. It's actually not a big deal. It's all right. He's healthy. And the connection he had with Hopkins, and Hopkins doesn't have that many years left, but Hopkins apparently still has something in the tank. And if we suddenly be like, he's going to throw 3 touchdowns a game and 2 to Hopkins most weeks, and suddenly it's like then all of a sudden the 1 seed is going to look, he's the 1 seed, and the second half of the season he threw 25 touchdowns.
Right. Yeah, that sounds right. And obviously, if they go undefeated, which is in the scope of possibility,
such a huge narrative for him as well as the leader.
Then he kind of just maybe just gets it. I would say the Hopkins Surtain matchup is going to be pretty cool this week. I'm very excited for that. All right, let's talk about these games here. The Thursday Night Football contest has been bouncing around 6.5. It's a flat 6 right now, and the total has gotten bet up to 53.5. I make this game 52.9. I make the side 6.7. So I lean Baltimore Ravens here. Actually, I make the side 7 flat. So I lean Ravens here. I got a point at value. Don't really have a ton of enthusiasm to lay because this is back against the wall for the Bengals. Bengals lose this game, they're basically out. Bengals win this game, they are alive for the AFC North. So this is some pretty high leverage. I would expect to empty the playbook. The injuries look bad for the Bengals, I think. BJ Hill in particular. What's your read on this one?
He was limited with a hip. That's not great. Hips can be kind of nasty. Higgins
rib, right? BJ Hill.
I thought it was hip. I guess I can double check.
I read rib. Okay, maybe it was.
Maybe it's both. Zach Moss done for the year. Eric All, who was kind of a nice little tight end backup, tore his ACL. Higgins doubtful. Orlando Brown Jr. limited today. I think he goes, but it is a different kind of test against a better team because it isn't going to be probably comfy lead going up against a flailing team like they had last week. Their defense kind of sucks against the run. And if Lamar just gets a lead, it's going to be very difficult because I think, this pass funnel, it becomes better when they're throwing all the time. It's like, well, we're up by 10, we're up by 14. I think we don't have to stack the box. We can drop some extra help back. We can throw an extra safety out there all the time. And maybe it's a little tougher, especially without Higgins. That was impressive by Burrow last year. Well, last year too, but last week it was super impressive because Higgins is out. He throws 5 touchdowns. Obviously a tougher test. My numbers make this 7.3. I'm slightly to the under. I'm about 52. I couldn't possibly bet another under in one of these games. There's just such a high likelihood this game gets into the 60s.
Yeah.
It feels like if the Ravens get a nice little lead and are able to just play ball control in the second half, it could end up in the 40s, high 40s. But if there's a play or two here by Burrow, this game's hitting 60. So I'm staying away from this total. I don't like laying it either here. I'm probably going to look some props. And it's going to be Donkey Andy playing some overs on some receivers. Some
I think I'm just gonna chill for halftime. I think. We'll see.
Yeah. No, I won't be on side and total. I'll have a prop or two that I'm going to play in this one. That's about it.
Ravens locked into the 3 if they win this one, which is this is kind of a quasi clincher for. Nah, actually, it's not because they still got 2 games against the Steelers, I guess. But this is a huge high leverage one for them for the AFC North, and a home game.
And Cincinnati's playoff chances because they're sitting in a precarious spot, and it sucks because their division is so tough.
Yeah, this is a good night loser leaves, or not loser leaves town, but good night kitchen sink back against the wall type of game. I have them at 40% chance to make the playoffs still right now, and they dropped to I think something like I want to say something like low 20s, high teens if they lose. Anyway,
like 18, yeah.
The Sunday morning football game in Munich features the New York Giants and the Carolina Panthers. There is a lot to cover here, particularly on the Panthers side of the ball. We have gotten confirmation that it will be Bryce Young starting again. We have gotten confirmation that the Panthers, I think they traveled all of their hurt players, even though they DNP'd them, right? Like we would know if these guys didn't travel, I would assume. But the list includes Hubby Chubby. Hubby Chubby. We may see Jonathan Brooks. It sounds like he's going to be activated. As
they have to. They're at the same spot where Hawkinson was, where they have to activate him. Otherwise, he has to go on the season-ending IR. But Clowney, Icky, J.C. Horn, Hubbard, Josie Jewell, Thielen, Xavier Woods, Robinson, the safety,
Williams.
The
whole defense, Williams. The entire defense, basically. Honestly, the entire starting defense didn't DNP'd. I can't believe that. I guess some of it was rest. Some of it was rest. A lot of it was rest.
Yeah,
maybe they're just.
It's a weird spot having to travel to Germany, and you're basically going to lose a day no matter what you do here. So, and how much is practice really going to help this team?
Yeah, that's a fair
what,
point.
guys? Let's just get through the season healthy. Let's have some fun out there. Let's pull for each other. We got our big win against a hated divisional opponent.
Yeah,
it's a lot of points for a shitty team to lay on a neutral game, though.
Yeah. Hey, big news though. The Giants do have their punter back. Jamie Gillian was limited today, and Matt Hack went to the practice squad. So good news that they may be punting more effectively in the Giants side of things. The rest of the Giants injuries, I don't really know that they are that meaningful.
Slayton is a really big one, I think.
Oh, Slayton. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. He's in the concussion protocol.
He probably doesn't travel. Right.
It feels like, we talked about that too with, God, it was the Giants. It was neighbors. It's like, man, with a really long flight to Seattle, do we think they let him get on that plane? He has the concussion. It's kind of a weird spot. So kind of feels like I'm penciling him out for now. And then everyone else is probably fine. And like you said, they're getting their punter back.
Yeah, man. The general kind of feeling I have here for the Giants is they are still trying, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird spot with Dable. I think he's well respected, kind of like in the league, in NFL football circles, but it's still such a lost season that he's probably still hot seat, and so is the front office, the rest of the coaching staff. So they're in a dumb spot where the season's going nowhere. They found a young rookie wide receiver that's worked. Actually, you know what? They found a rookie wide receiver and a running back who's looking really good. Tracy, I believe, leads all rookie rushers at this point. So they've found some young pieces. They've got a good pass rush. They've got some pieces in the secondary if they can stay healthy. This isn't a horrible roster. It just lacks a quarterback and a few things on the offensive line, maybe one more receiver that can stay healthy. They're only a few little things away, and then obviously one huge thing away from being, a wild card team at least. But as it sits, they're a really shitty team who is going to lose some bad games and can't keep up even against a bad defense like we saw last week. So I don't know what the game plan is. That's where I'm kind of weirded out by this. My numbers say to bet Carolina, but I don't know what I don't know what the motivation for either team would be in this one.
We're on opposite sides then, because my numbers say bet the Giants and bet the over, which has me kind of thinking about playing some Giants team total over maybe.
What's the price right now? 6.5. You make it bigger than 6.5. That's interesting.
Oh, it's up to 6.5.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I have it in my sheet 5 for some reason, so it's moved pretty aggressively with the confirmation that it's going to be Bryce Young. Okay,
I make it roughly 4.
Yeah, I'm at 5.4.
I make it like 4 points.
Maybe the angle is then Giants team total. What's the latest? What is the updated side total? 6.5 and 40.5. So it went down. I disagree with that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm projecting the Giants to get to 24.5. They're 23.5. Maybe I'll just play Giants team total over for some fun interest in the game.
I have even with a bad offensive rating, I have them as it's an advantageous spot for them against this defense. And they have a smarter coach. I honestly, I do think Dable's still a good coach. I think he's a lot smarter than, the guy that got fired last week going up against Carolina. You should be able to move on this defense. You should be able to do a lot of what you want. Like Tracy should have a good game. Even Dime should have a decent game. Like I make this number where I make it just because I have such a low overall rating on New York, but I don't think I would love taking Carolina in this spot.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't have any interest in that either. All right. First game in the 1:00 window is Buffalo at Indy. Some meaningful injuries for Buffalo here. And some meaningful injuries for Indy as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
I guess talking about what you thought of Joe Flacco in the Vikings game, that was
awful.
Obviously very underwhelming in a lot of ways, and it seemed out of character for him. Minnesota, I think a big part of that was they just couldn't get a run going at all. Even for chunks of the first half where they were either tied or leading. They weren't able to run the ball, and then Flacco looked bad through the air. I mean, it was basically a Richardson game without some of the deep balls. He couldn't even throw his, deep ball, get the offensive, pass interference there. Raymond is a full go. Your left tackle, he's probably coming back from the concussion, but it is 2024. They lost their center for 4 games. The good thing is they've lost him previously in this season. And this Tanner Bortolini from Wisconsin, he's played 100 snaps already.
Okay.
I knew he stepped in for 1 game. I was surprised at how much he played. He's only given up 1 pressure. So not a terrible backup in this rookie. He's got some experience playing. Pittman not practicing today was a little concerning.
Guessing he's out.
Very concerning. It's the same back injury he's had for weeks. You have the finger thing too. I don't know. That's gonna probably be the tipping point for me, because my numbers are saying a little bit Andy here. This is a look at
wide receiver
as well.
Wide receiver situation for Buffalo got weird. I'm assuming Cooper and Samuel go, but they still have Khalil Shakir and tight ends to attack. I thought about playing the under when the offensive line injuries popped for Indy, but I don't have the stomach for it at 46.5. So I'm out of this game. I'm almost spot on 4.
They had the defensive lineman injuries to Smoot and Hill. Benford is a full go. Benford didn't play last week. He's probably going to play. You get your good enough cornerback back. But yeah, Cooper, Amari Cooper with the wrist again that kept him out last week. And then Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman had a wrist injury as well. So I played this on the look ahead. I'm still slightly interested in this if it's going to remain at 4, as I'm a lot closer to 2. I do agree with this on the under as well, but it just feels like there's a definite lane for Jonathan Taylor to play very well. This is a run defense I don't trust a lot, and I think that has to be the game plan. It's like, hey, maybe we don't have Flacco drop back quite as much. If we're able to run the ball in this one, we have a star running back we should be using. I might end up just playing some of his props because, like I said, I took some 4.5 on look ahead. Maybe I just don't add on to that position in a spot where you're missing a starting offensive lineman, and maybe, certainly not taking it at this point in the week with Pittman questionable.
Yeah. Okay. That checks out. Yeah, I think I'm out on this game. Moving down, I didn't say it steamed up pretty a point and a half, so I was leaning under and then it went up. I should just probably respect the market and pass. Vikings Jags is currently 4.5 in favor of the road Vikings. A lot of road, kind of common theme this week. A lot of road chalk. 3rd game in a row. I guess the Giants are neutral, but yeah, 2nd game in a row on Sunday where you have outside of a field goal for the road team. And yeah, it makes sense because the Jaguars suck and they're trading important pieces, and Trevor Lawrence is hurt now. The Vikings are kind of, I think, stabilized after that little mid-season swoon where it looked like things could come unglued a bit. That was a huge win for them, kind of comfortable, huge win for them against the Colts, I think. However, IPJ did not practice, so extra load for AVG this week. Anything that stands out to you in this contest?
Just kind of a weird set of injuries, losing your kicker and your long snapper. Just like the whole battery there. Both of those guys went to the IR. That was a weird injury update. But, I mean, it was very apparent that his hamstring wasn't right. Vikings should have scored more points, obviously. They signed someone named John Parker Romo to kick in his place. I don't know shit about this guy, but the
Romo and kick can go together like peas and carrots.
Yeah. I always want the name Romo when they're snapping a game-winning field goal in my mind. That's what I want.
Yes.
Cashman, don't have updates on him. I'd love to see him back at some point. That toe injury obviously is something that's bothered him because he's missed 3 straight games. The Jacksonville thing with Lawrence is a little weird. So we saw this last year. He seemed tough.
Yes, he's calling his own number, no question.
He played through some shit. But they did this last year. So I'm like, oh no, they signed another quarterback to that roster. And
who did they sign? Oh, Beathard. Okay.
CJ Beathard, Beathard. But they did this last year too, and then he ended up just calling his own number. That said, maybe the situation's a little different. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Brian Thomas had his chest thing. He didn't practice today. ETN didn't practice. I don't know if that
Thomas
matters.
was also very ineffective last time out.
He looked like he's banged up. So I don't know. Like a big part of this is if Lawrence goes, because if Lawrence doesn't go, this is probably a sizable. He's like the only good thing they have going. He's been playing well above his head right now. It's not just like it's a step down to Mac Jones. He's been so good for him compared to where we've seen the last few years.
I don't know. The offensive line being this fucked and the wide receiver core being this fucked though, and this is a general stink on this team. As all of that is bad. I actually don't quite get to 4.5 here, but I'm on the other side of 3, so I don't have any interest in taking Jacksonville, particularly because if you grab a 4.5, you could blink and Mac Jones is trying to cover your 4.5 when the market is at 7.5. So thank you. Total
I make it like
is right on my number.
4.
45.
I make it like 4
is my number. So you're at 4. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not terribly interested because
that's an interesting angle from Sam because of the aggressiveness of Flores' defense and their relative health outside of Ivan Pace Jr. against an offensive line and wide receiver core and running back core and quarterback that are all hurt and or traded to the Vikings. Cam Robinson back in town. How you doing, Cam? Revenge game for Cam Robinson, people are asking.
Instant revenge, they call this. Oh, man. He was very good. He was very good for a guy who, got very little practice reps in with his battery mates. I thought he stepped in and played pretty nice. So not a huge test against this defense, but he still has to.
I have very little on my card this week. I'm going to consider adding this under. We'll see.
I like this look, Sam. I might. It's definitely in the hopper.
Do you like that over the full game under? Because I could see the Vikings having plenty of success on the ground in this one.
Well, that's why I worry about just Jones breaking a few, and so the Vikings
not really
are
explosive like that though. He's more of a cross the street 100 times guy, isn't he? I mean, passing game.
I'll have to look at what
they don't
his
really utilize him like that.
Well, it seems like he does get his bigger plays in the passing game. He had that nice one on the trick play, but how they've used Oliver and then getting Hawkinson fully healthy, just feel like they just kind of move. And then when they want to start running, it's just going to be a successful run as well. Yeah, I am a little scared off this over or under because of the offensive success I have.
He's got
the disparity I have between the offense and the defense.
He's got 2 runs over 30 yards so far this year, so maybe he'll get one. But yeah, he's averaging a modest 4.5 yard per carry, which is enough to move the chains. So yeah, I kind of feel like this might be like sort of the first game that wraps, which has me kind of inclined to bet some under here. We'll see. Pittsburgh I
think if you bet Washington. Minnesota, you probably bet some Peterson fired too. I know it's like minus 2.
You might as well, right? Are they about to go into their bye? Is that what you're saying? That?
I think it's close.
That's crazy.
If they have a really embarrassing
2 more
game,
and then their bye week. Yeah.
What if it's like 37-3?
The under cashes.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like it's pretty close. Like he has one more embarrassing game left in him, and then it feels like time's up. Time's up over now. Then he has to snap back to reality.
Yeah. Pittsburgh, Washington. Nice move by the Commanders to shore up one of their true weaknesses, bringing in a guy on Marshawn Lattimore who absolutely has the goods still, although he's banged up and may not play this week as they try to keep him keep him healthy for a Thursday game next week against the Eagles. I got a little spidey sense that he may just be a keep him in your pocket until next week.
I read some quotes about why they held him out. He didn't practice in his first practice. It basically kind of what you're saying, like, hey, it's a long season and we want to make sure we're doing the right thing. And we got his injury records. We're comfortable with it. But at the same time, we don't want to rush him back. It's a hamstring, and he needs that to be an effective corner. So
Yes.
I feel like he's out this week, and he does end up starting next Thursday.
They gave up a lot for him, but I'm glad they did it because that makes them a much more fun team, particularly against the Eagles, who they have to play twice. Really nice to have at least some modicum of possible matchup against that wide receiving group. They probably could use him this week to stop George Pickens. Pickens and Russell Wilson have BFF vibes all of a sudden, and Pittsburgh has not really paid the price for having issues with their health of their offensive line. Presumably coming off the bye, that unit is healthier and they're going to be able to pass pro Russ. But I'm still a little I still think that there's a high point to sell Russ Wilson stock as people continue to gush over what we've seen from him so far, because so much of it feels very defendable once the more tape there is. So we'll see. I like that he's playing better, and he's going to have a new weapon for Art Smith's offense, as Cordero Patterson was a full participant in practice. I don't know if you saw that, but just in general, if they can get a run game going, they should be Steelers should be able to keep Jaden Daniels off the field. The other side of the equation, though, is where I'm interested in, and I said I'm not seeing it really right now with this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I think that it's still fine to have them as a top unit generally, but I think there's a premium right now in terms of how good they are, and I think that the Washington defense could be Washington offense could be like kind of the unit that exposes them to a degree. You have any feel there?
As far as the run game, even with Robin, it looks like Brian Robinson's coming back. He's practicing, but the run game is kind of a wash. Offensive line has, like we said, it's good, but some of that is the product of how the quarterback plays. Obviously, slight advantage to Pittsburgh in a spot like that, just based on who they're bringing. It's probably the defensive player of the year, but in the pass game, it's still a spot where Washington has an advantage, I think, just because they've been so good with the scheme with the young quarterback and how he's been able to find Terry, how he's been able to scramble, how he's been able, working out of some of those broken plays and what he's able to do with his legs as well if he stays upright. I have a high number on Washington. Like I make this closer to 4.
Oh, okay.
And I can't keep betting a team. Yeah, it bothers me to keep betting a team. It's like, all right, they're just moving up. They're moving up their market. They're moving up their range, and I got to stop at some point. A team never, nobody covers forever, but it feels like the Pittsburgh defense is probably getting a little too much credit off the bye here, and at the same time, the Russ stuff doesn't seem all that sustainable. And it's not a great defense, but we saw them step up nicely at times against the Giants. We've seen it for a few weeks where, hey, coverage is not as bad, pass rush kind of there. This is like the 20th ranked defense, guys. And it was always a team we thought would be, probably starting in the 30s.
Okay.
As far as where we wanted to rank them. So the defense stepping up a little has me close to playing Washington here.
Okay. Yeah. When you screen out turnovers for the Steelers defense, they fall back kind of into the pack, which is, I think, that actually kind of checks out. And if there is a team that, if there's one aspect of the identity of the Washington offense is that they play clean football. Very, very, very turnover resistant unit there, and maybe the correction comes in this game. But I played Washington and at 2.5, and it went to 3, and I was like, yeah, and then it came back down to 2.5, and so somebody pretty clearly thinks that Steelers are still a buy right now. The total 45.5 feels high for a Steelers game, but again, I think that they could have some success of their own in this one, because Washington surely isn't a top half of the NFL defense. The clear way to attack Washington is on the ground. The clear way to attack the Steelers is through the air, from what I can tell.
Yeah. And it is, it's still early in the season. Some of the teams they played haven't been exactly the monsters of the midway or the fearsome foursome, but they do lead the league in the fewest giveaways, if you want to call it that, turnovers, interceptions, and fumbles lost. Only one lost fumble, and then the 2 interceptions thrown. So they don't have the best net, but they have the lowest giveaways in the league, and that's massive against, like you said, that's kind of where they make their hay. If you can get an extra hat on Watt when it matters and he's not strip sacking your ass, I think you're going to move against the secondary. So
people are asking, is this a look ahead spot for Washington, who has Philly on Thursday, or is this a look ahead spot for Pittsburgh, who has the Ravens next week? Because there's no love lost when either of these teams get together.
They both have veteran coaches in charge. I don't think that's as big of a thing when you have a good coaching staff. And, it's a lot of new pieces in Washington, but none of them are new to football or the NFL. Obviously, Dan Quinn has been around for a long time, and we're obviously impressed with the job he's doing. So I worry less about that when it's, I worry about it when it's a shitty coach, I guess.
Yeah.
Or when it's a team that's not gelling, having issues, having a lack of discipline, a lot of penalties, just a team that has all those traits. Whereas, I don't feel that with Washington or Pittsburgh. So I'm not worried about the look ahead for either.
Okay. Atlanta, New Orleans is a bit of a stinker. This is out to 3.5. Even though New Orleans continues to get healthier offensively. I am a little mixed here if this is a bounce spot for a New Orleans Saints team, considering the head coach got fired and now it's the special teams coordinator at home. The Falcons and the Saints obviously played an extremely close game earlier this season with most of these same players in Atlanta. It was ultimately won with some fluky stuff at the end with 58-yard Young-Ho Koo kick. Atlanta comes into this contest a bit healthier than they have been. It sounds like we might not see Bertrand at linebacker, but we're expecting Troy Anderson back. Big question about Grady Jarrett. He matters a shit ton. If Jarrett is out of this game, then I could be talked into a little Saints at 3.5. What's your head?
Yeah, Jarrett's huge. Troy Anderson's a very important linebacker. If he is back and fully healthy, that matters. I still like this over a little. I bet this over on the look ahead, and it's come down a point. So I'm sitting on a bad number, but even without London, without Olave,
no Rashid Shaheed, no. It's going to be a lot of running back tight end here.
It's going to be a ton of Taysom, and you know how I feel about Taysom Hill. I still think it's just good matchups for the offense against these defenses. The only thing that scares me is Derek Carr didn't look good at all. In fact, he looked like hammered dog shit last week. And I think he rushes back from injuries. I think he convinces coaches, I'm fine. I want to play. The team needs me. I got to get back in there. And it was an oblique or something core.
Yeah.
Which definitely has a
oblique core. Yeah.
That definitely has bearing on your throwing motion, your mechanics. And I wonder if that wasn't part of it because he looked bad. He missed some bad throws that an NFL quarterback shouldn't miss. So I kind of want to just bet this one live after I watch him play a little.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to think about this one. I might end up using them in contests because I don't have a lot else I like really this week.
The fact that it's out this far too, I do lean New Orleans as far as my price. Yeah, it's hard to price them right now because
I'm high on Atlanta. I know I am.
If Carr, if Carr is at like 50% of his, where he should be, maybe I'm closer to market here. I'm pricing Carr as if he's fine, knowing that I did that and my number is going to reflect it. So the fact that I'm, below 3 in a spot where I could get pretty much 4.
It says bet it.
Get 3.5, 4. It says bet it, but right now the car does scare me off a bit.
Cedric Wilson Jr. probably goes, right? I can't believe I'm asking this. Yeah, he's fine. He's fine.
He's fine.
Mason Tipton.
It's gonna be a Mooney game.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a Mooney game.
No Bob means.
A lot of tight ends and a lot of Kamara in this one. All right, the last. Oh no, we got a couple more. The Broncos Chiefs is an
big
early kick. Big old change for the Chiefs, who were playing Monday night. Now they kick off early at home, and they do so after sustaining a couple injuries and after having their defense exposed a little bit. Liam Cohn put together a really nice game plan for those Buccaneers on Monday and almost stole the win if he was not specifically handicapped by his head coach and the timeout to regroup.
The timeout was so maddening. Like, what are we doing? What if because it's like, what if you score on the first play and then they scored on the first play? It's like, fuck. You just.
It might have been the second play even, but they took no time off. Yeah.
Maybe it was, but again, it was quick and
it's quick.
It's funny how it didn't end up hurting them, but it was like karma knew that was a mistake and gave him the coin toss.
Generally the questions I'm having here are kind of revolving around: did the market correct enough from 9 to 8? I think this should be on the inside of 7. I have Denver in pocket. I don't know if I want to go back for more, but I think this is a nice matchup for the Denver defense. I think they did not cover themselves in glory against the Ravens, and that was a little bit of a wake-up call in a lot of ways. And I think they match up better against the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been giving up some serious pass rush and some serious pressure on Mahomes, who, and again, like, same ankle that was already hurt is now more hurt supposedly, but Andy Reid's saying he's fine, so whatever. Hopkins can be covered by Surtain. They do an okay job of covering tight ends in Denver, and this is it's a divisional game outside of a touchdown when you have a short week for the Chiefs and bad spot. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm right around 7 for this in my numbers, so it would lean Denver. Like what you said, it was just when you go up against, every team kind of has a range of outcomes for how well each unit plays. And it was like every person, every group, every play, including the scheme and the offensive game planning, was at 100 for the Ravens last week. It was just like, it doesn't matter that this is probably still a top 5 defense. They're just getting bullied. Like everything was so bad for them. It's still a very good defense. And despite what we saw from Baker Mayfield, the Chiefs defense is still very good too. I think that it's reflected. This total's down at 41.5. These are a couple teams that gave up 24 and 40 points last week. It was
my first 39.
These are still very, very good defenses. I'm still terrified, but I'm close to playing this under.
It's a big number. I would say under, but I took the points because of the size of the number and just in general the matchup I like.
I think they're correlated. Denver and the under. Denver's defense plays well, takes Hopkins out for a week, and I don't think Denver wins by scoring 31 to stay, 31-37. Obviously, it is a low scoring game where Denver is able to cover. So
this is one of those old school sharp spots.
17-10.
This is one of the old school sharp spots in a million ways. Like divisional rival catching more than a touchdown against an opponent on a short week. The Chiefs have been in a really, really high profile game almost every week this season. They have yet to play at 1:00. This is their first 1:00 kick coming after a Monday night overtime game. Like, if you look up old school sharp play in the dictionary, it's Denver +8 week 10 NFL 2024.
It is a back-to-back for Denver, but it's a hop, skip, and a jump down to KC. It's not like they're flying cross country again.
Yeah, I do have a travel disadvantage. You're right. All right, well, Denver's kind of the only side I really like this week, actually.
Remember when I used to do this with primetime games? So don't tease totals, guys. Teasing totals is bad, but I used to love doing a single game teaser when it was correlated. When it was correlated. Yeah. And I used to do this all the time with primetime games. Like, don't tease totals, but you could do a lot more. And you're not going through any key numbers, but if there's an 8 and you're getting +14 and under 48, that's kind of a banger, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So
it is.
We'll see if that ages well.
Okay. Niners Tampa Bay Buccaneers, early kickoff for the Niners, but we are expecting to see one Mr. Christian McCaffrey. He was ramped back up and apparently no pain. So I think this is a green light. And they need him. Deebo Samuel sounds like he may go. Juwan Jennings sounds like he may go. It sounds like the bye came at the right time for the Niners, if I had to say so. I don't really have any updates on the defensive players here. I don't think there are really realistic chances that these guys who are on IR and PUP are coming back for this one.
No.
So it's the same old Niners defense you saw throttling the Cowboys, but then giving up all those points and yards in the second half before their bye week. Buccaneers should be able to do what they've continue to be competitive in terms of scoring points, I would guess. And the market has responded by betting this total up, which I think is correct. Unless there's some funky weather, this looks like the highest scoring contest of the day to me. And I think this is an over or pass.
This is my good look ahead from Friday. 47.5 to the over.
Look at you.
Love, because I have a bad one too. I have the Atlanta at 47, which is now 46.5. Only a half point. Oops. When it goes the other way, it's like a half point, no big deal. When it moves your way, it's like move to field goal. Guess I'm a goddamn genius, guys. Give me my Einstein wig. But no, I agree. It is obviously the right move because I played it at a lower number. And what we saw on Monday, what we saw with the Liam Cohen masterclass against a much better defense. This has been a defense that's struggled at times in coverage, and even without Evans and Godwin, Baker and the scheme, the Liam Cohen scheme, is finding people using Otten, using whatever's left in the wide receiver core, and I'll say they got a couple good running backs as well. So this is a look for me at 6. It just terrifies me based on how healthy the offense was going to be. What if it's like McCaffrey and Jennings and everybody's back and it's like, good, Tampa got to 24. Well,
they
Niners,
lost 35-24.
Yeah, Niners.
My number
Niners,
is 6, so I'm not interested in. Actually, if anything, I'm weighing Niners because this came down to 5. Somebody bet Bucks here, huh?
It is 6.5 right now.
Oh, it is. So it went back.
I think the good news for the health of the offense and the McCaffrey stuff kind of beat it back into place. Okay. I'm on the other side of 5, so a little lean on Tampa. I always love Tampa. I'm a big AFC or NFC South guy, apparently. But
that just got bet, huh? Yeah, because this was 5.5 when I was looking earlier today, and I was considering laying the 6. My 2 cents on the Niners defense is that they're maybe sneaky bad. I don't want to overreact to what has been a troubling, a difficult start to the season in terms of health, but you got to guess at where they rank right now in EPA per play if you take turnovers out of the equation.
I don't know, like 20th.
Yeah, 23rd. In a statistical tie with the New England Patriots. Not that much better than the Bengals. Not that much better than the Bucks. So this unit is like my unit level rankings. I always regress a little bit to what we're seeing EPA and DVOA because EPA does not adjust for opponents and it's largely a reflection of the quarterbacks you played, and DVOA presumably does. So I take a little bit of heat off of my opinion with those numbers, and there's a big difference. My rating of the players says this should be like a top 7 defense, but the numbers are not there, not even close. So
it is weird how some of these defenses can just be sum of the parts. Because, we can name Broncos defenders now because some of these guys are starting to show out. But at the beginning of the season, I would have struggled to name very many of the pass rushers for Denver. Where it's like, man, this is a sum of the parts defense. And it still is, but we're starting to give them some of their flowers. Whereas sometimes you have these teams with a bunch of names and it just doesn't gel. And I think a lot of that does come down to scheme or coaching, maybe in-game adjustments, but the Niners are kind of there for me. And obviously they've had some safeties get hurt and pass rushers.
Real quick on the Broncos, I meant to ask you this when we were talking about them. Do you get why they were sellers? Why they sent Baron Browning to the Cardinals?
They have too many pass rushers.
Too many pass rushers. It was just an abundance of just a glut. It was a glut.
a glut.
Huh.
Yeah, I think it was just like, hey, we're not using this guy as much, and we want to get some other people involved instead. But why, why let him walk? I think he was up at the end of the year. You see that a lot with some of these ones where it's like, why'd they trade that guy? Well, because they don't, there's no team control, which we'll wait till we get to the Cowboys game, I guess.
Okay.
If this starts slow, I'm going to bet a live over. Like, I will double down and chase. Just how I
am. Sorry, I lost track of where we're at here. Patriots, Bears. I don't get why this was 6.5. That's a big number when we kind of now know that the Bears are not a great team. What do you have in terms of vibe check on the Bears locker room, offense in particular? And do you think that is being overblown, or is this the kind of game where if Drake May shows up and plays well and beats the Bears, then there is a full fucking stage 5 meltdown on Monday?
I think it's the other team that's, kind of giving up.
Oh,
Like, the team, they didn't play well at all. Like, the fact that they were even in that game was crazy. Yeah, and the Bears had a bad game. The Bears had a horrible game. But a lot of that just stemmed from the defense couldn't handle, what was getting thrown at them with Kyler, and then it just spiraled out. The offensive line injuries apparently really reared their ugly head, and Caleb wasn't good. He was very unaware. I don't know that there's many defenses worse than Arizona, and Arizona had a nice game. They probably deserve an upgrade, but the pass rush for New England's non-existent. I can't believe they didn't trade more pieces away. If they had anybody that anybody asked about, I lowered my New England number even with the amazing comeback to force overtime. Like that was a bad game, honestly, and the vibes seem kind of low in both spots, but I'm still. Yeah, you don't want to know what my number is here.
Okay.
It's like 9.
You know what people do want to know is how many stages are there in a nuclear meltdown? You have a guess?
Oh, there's 4.
No, there's 7.
What?
Yeah. Why did you say there were 4?
I just say it with if you say it with confidence, you're right. It makes it seem like you knew something.
Like you knew something. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, there's 7 stages. Core heating, fuel rod melting, absorber melting. Clad bursts. There's 5 stages of this. Was that grief? Yeah. Been through many of those today. A clad burst, Zerk alloy melting, partial melting of the UO2, and then the complete core meltdown, which occurs at a temperature of 3120 Kelvin. 3120 Kelvin.
So
it's so high.
What? I had this. It was like a bar discussion. Me and the wife went out last night, and she's just not on the internet as much as me. So I'm like, "Did you see that lightning strike in that soccer game? Because everybody's seen that, right?"
Oh yeah,
that so sad. That's he's just out there playing soccer, the game he loves. Guy gets killed on the pitch. If you slow mo it, you see it, and it's just like a fireball around the guy. And my wife's like, "How does that kill you?" Specifically, she's like, "I know getting struck by lightning." I'm like, well, it's really hot. I'm guessing you just get cooked and, your brain and heart and everything shuts down at once. I'm probably painless if you're directly struck. We looked up, how hot lightning is when it strikes?
How hot?
I guessed 1,000 Fahrenheit.
Yeah. What is it?
50,000 Fahrenheit.
Oh my God.
It was not even close.
50,000.
Yeah, like you're
oh my God,
cooked. You're cooked from the inside.
That's almost as high
crazy watching all those guys.
As a complete core meltdown.
Yeah, I don't know what that is in Kelvin.
So basically, your insides melt.
Yeah, cook, melt, whatever you want to say. Kelvin. Who uses Kelvin, by the way?
Scientists.
50,000 Kelvin is 28,000. 50,000 Fahrenheit is 28,000 Kelvin. Much hotter than a
Oh
meltdown.
my God.
What game are we even on, Drew?
We are wrapping up Patriots Bears.
I make the Bears a 9-point favorite because I still respect their defense, and they have all these. I'm doing again. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. For the
I know
you're really
low on Patriots.
I'm just so low on New England right now.
Yeah, I saw your numbers. All right. Well, lean New England for me. I haven't played it. Tennessee versus the Chargers is fascinating because the Chargers are kind of out of linebackers all of a sudden. The fact that they went and signed a couple linebackers did not go unnoticed by me. I look at the fact that Colson and Perryman. Colson was put in IR and Perryman DNP'd today. And then they went and signed Shaq Quarterman. That was a little eyebrow raising. Two important players in the pass rush, limited in DNP, and Bosa Mack. Two important players in the secondary, DNP'd, and Fulton Taylor. All of a sudden, this much ballyhooed Chargers defense is going to have to get it done with the B squad. Is that Will Levis's music that I hear? That sure sounds like it. Well, it does for the total.
What's your difference? What's your difference
for the total?
Between Rudolph and Levis? Are you saying it's an upgrade?
Points. No, but the potential for defensive scores just goes
okay.
Goes crazy. Titans defense also missing some important pieces in the secondary. This to me looks like the easiest total bet of the week. I think 38.5 is insane. Has this gone down? Somebody's betting this under? Is that true? Oh no, it was 37.5. It's gone up to 38.5. That I completely agree with this. I think it should be more like 41. And I think mostly it's because of the chaos element that Levis brings to the table. Plus the Chargers defense might get run on in this game with some of the injuries they're facing. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, without adjusting for injuries, this is my biggest net advantage for the two defenses versus the two offenses in any game. But it's also but it's also one of the lowest totals on the board, so that checks out. And like you said, if it's a bit of a cluster injury, suddenly the Los Angeles defense isn't, this top 5 defense is going to stop everything. Not a lot of names left for Tennessee to throw the ball to, but I mean, we've seen sometimes guys just need, opportunities like we're seeing in Tampa Bay. I don't know if it matters what quarterback comes back, but it is a good point that there's a little more chaos when you do have Will Levis. They lost Lloyd Cushenberry. He tore his Achilles IR. Jeffrey Simmons hurt his right leg. I think he's going to be fine. I looked at this total a little because of what we've seen from Herbert and some of the weird disparities I've had with my numbers and then actually watching Tennessee play football, where I wonder about the secondary at times, especially, one of your star players has kind of been in and out of the lineup, and I think that matters a ton. So I looked at it a little, but I ended up kind of pricing it pretty closely. So I agree with you. I think there's a long tail to the over. If it turns out the Chargers have a long day because of the injuries, then they're going to have to dial up even more throwing, which they've been comfortable doing, and they're going to score points, and both teams are going to get to the 20s.
Okay. Well, that's my
watt is 1 billion watts, Patrick.
It's 1 billion watts?
1 billion watts, yes.
I like that.
Duh.
Head-to-head with Mr. Lipscomb.
There's a non-zero chance this is the worst game of the season.
Hopefully you waited and you got under 38.5 at least, as opposed to getting in early before it moved up a point. Across 37, which is maybe a key for this one. Tough to say. All right. The Tennessee defense injuries matter, I think, too, because this is going to be really tough for them to generate any kind of pressure. And I think Herbert's basically just going to pick them apart. I think this is going to be an offense game with the injury status for both teams, particularly Chargers. Philly, Dally. I guess this is probably going to be on most everybody's Dally? TV. Sure. Why not?
The last time somebody abbreviated Dally from Dallas was in The Outsiders.
Oh, was
Great
it?
film. He definitely calls him Dally.
Oh, okay.
Dallas. Well, Jonathan Mingo in the fold. All is right. I did feel a little bit better about it when they kind of said, hey, he's a year and a half into a rookie contract. Like they have 2.5 years of control if they want.
That
okay. I guess that checks out a little, but they have to see something that nobody else is seeing because they're saying, well, hey, we got this kid from Holy Cross that fuck it, let's throw him out there. He's got to be better than Mingo. Like they weren't even playing him ahead of like all these other guys. So I mean, Dallas has to see something nobody else saw. I understand it. It's still such an overpay compared to what some of the big receivers got. I don't think he makes a bean's difference right now. Dak, bad news. I read they're saying Gene Slater said this might be the one where the hamstring detached a little, and you gotta wait for that to like scar over and heal, and then it's just like he's done for the season.
Done. So the Dak's done. Why the fuck did they trade for Mingo then?
They said for next year. They're starting because they're so here's the other thing about how they're set up as a team. They're paying everybody so much money. If they want to build for next year, they have to build with cheap ass guys who are on rookie contracts that they hope have huge upside. They can't go out and get big names in free agency. They can't afford it to. So like this is the kind of move they have to make, which basically means they're fucked. It's like the lady on Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah. What's that mean? It means you're fucked.
Wow, Dallas, things unraveled so aggressively there.
Yeah, you're paying Dak a lot of money.
A good thing I simmed the rest of their season without Dak Prescott available, and I have them at a 2.6% chance to make the playoffs. So it's 0. This probably ends it. I don't know. Do you think you get a spirited second unit tryhard here? Cover the number? No.
I mean, it's the same kind of thing you talked about in Denver, Kansas City, where it's a big number in division. Philly is still, even though they're winning, they're showing some of the same traits of, like what we think about Baltimore early in the season. We're like, oh man, how are you fucking these games up late? Like you're so dominant at times, and then you just let this team back in. Like that was the stupidest. I guess it was kind of a weird fluky fumble return, but I mean Herbert and Lawrence I associate with each other so much, but Lawrence looked really good. I guess some of it could be classified as garbage time, but it quickly wasn't, and then it very much wasn't garbage time at all. They almost lost a game where they should have been up by 4 scores for most of it. So I don't think I want to cover or lay a huge number with Sirianni right now in a divisional game, but I can't make a good case for taking Dallas and Cooper Rush at this point. It's probably a good number. Yeah, I make it 6.85. This total is what, 43? I guess that's probably a little low for my liking, but with just how freaking horrible the Dallas run stop is and what you've seen from Saquon over the last few weeks and honestly the season, it seems like a Philly lead would be, pretty easy to maintain. Oh, we said that last week. It should be. Everything should be. So I don't know. It feels like we get backdoored on the 7 with a meaningless. Who's our guy? Rico Dowdle screen pass, and they'll have about 7 seconds left for this onside kick. Yeah, I'm pretty close on market. I want to look at some of the pace stuff, dig a little deeper into that.
Yeah, I'm at 43.8 and 7.1, so I don't really have an edge here. Jets.
Do you think it gets bet out? It's still a nice teaser leg. Like it seems like Philly's.
Hadn't it already basically taken a decent amount of money and come back? Wasn't it 7.5 at one point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it goes out further than that. I mean, maybe.
I might tease it anyway.
Day of Cowboys got bet against pretty aggressively last week, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that happens again. Or maybe they get supported now that it's superstar subtraction with Dak Prescott no longer.
Yeah, Ewing theory. You say Ewing or Ewing?
Ewing, like a ewe is a female sheep.
I always say Ewing. It's because I'm not an NBA head.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, do. No, there's no you in that song.
No,
you,
I don't know
a sheep, a female sheep. I don't know why. I thought that was part of the song.
Like I had that at a choir concert the other day. Like, oh, I know this is from a movie.
Yeah,
you guys don't remember this because you're old or you're young and you have a million streaming options, but you didn't used to have that many channels, so you got excited because it'd be like, oh, the Sound of Music is on because if it was that one weekend, or oh, it's Ben-Hur because it was. I think that was
Easter.
Thanksgiving. Easter was Ben-Hur.
Passover.
Sure. That is the longest goddamn movie. What's the next game?
Jets, Cardinals. The market loves them some Jets.
I get it.
Do you? The whole offensive line DNP'd today.
I know, but I don't think we're going to expect the Cardinals pass rush to continually look like that. And some of those guys are playing.
Tyron Smith was on rest, so he'll play. Simpson is groin, his hamstring. Vera Tucker's ankle. Moses' knee. Expected to play. So yeah, okay, maybe they'll go. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Linebackers are both out. Solomon Thomas is not important, but he's out. Carter's out. 2 safeties hurt. I mean, none of these guys move.
They're pretty beat up.
Much super heavily, but for a team that has extra time to prepare for this game, the Jets are not exactly coming in fresh as a daisy.
So that's where I think some of this injury stuff will trend well because they do have extra time. The Mike Williams bump for the Jets now that he's off the team. I do expect Rodgers and Adams to continue to be better together. Like, I think that's the main call here is just, I think maybe why it's getting bad is like, this is still expected to be a very good offense when it wants to be with Wilson, the 2 running back. I mean, you got 2 decent running backs. You got Wilson. You got what? How long is Lazard out?
I think he's not on the injury report today. IR him?
I can't remember if that was a.
He's not on the injury
check
report.
on that. Okay.
I will look it up as you continue to postulate.
I mean, either way, it's just it's a very good. He's IR'd. I was trying to remember if they had to IR him.
They IR'd him.
Between Wilson and Adams and Allen and Hall and Aaron frickin' Rodgers, this should be all systems a go against a bad secondary, against a bad defense. It's been a good, well-coached team. The offense has been fun. This total's 46, which is kind of a weird tweener number for me. But I understand the Jets love, but like you said, with the injuries, it's kind of hard to get excited about them. I make this. Actually, I lean a little bit on Arizona now. I'm Arizona -1.
Okay. I'll dig.
The Jets' defense, if healthy, is very good. We'll see. Some very good defenses have trouble matching up against Kyler right now.
Yeah. I'm looking at who the Jets have played in terms of defense so far this year, and there's a pretty consistent trend. Good defenses. The one exception is the Patriots recently, where they probably should have had a little bit of a better result. But you're right. This is a step down in class for them. The offense should be able to make their number here. This total is
team total over
46. Okay, so I'm not adjusting for kind of soft factors here, but 46 is too low. This is a Nova.
It's already gotten bet up too. This was like 44.5.
Okay.
And I'm still So I'm still at a point where I wonder because of
45 and 46 ish.
Kyler being so effective at times, and I have I'm about net neutral on some of the matchup advantages for the offenses, but I still think the total should be 47. So I don't know.
I'm advantage for Cardinals offense against the Jets defense, but the step up and the potential that we're underrating the Jets offense a bit, I think, is real. If assuming you're right and the offensive line all goes. Yeah, I'm gonna play this over. I think you got a team total you like better between the Chargers. I mean, between the Cardinals and the Jets.
The Jets, just with my coverage number for Arizona is so bad.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
Sam says he's going to be looking for a Jets highest scoring team price on Sunday. Ooh. I like that look as well.
I dig it. In the desert, controlled environment.
Yeah,
I like it. Extra time to prepare. Yeah, this should be solid. Okay, let's keep moving. Lions, Texans. Lions are your 3.5-point favorites in Sunday night primetime. The hype train has officially arrived. That is a big number for a team that is at a rest disadvantage and on the road in primetime. But I think the important context here is we were thinking there was a chance that Nico Collins would be back from his IR stint for the hamstring. It's not happening. To make matters worse, it seems very likely, thanks to a little birdie that is friends with us, that Will Anderson Jr. may not play in this game. Those are important players for the Texans if they want to keep this competitive. Now, the Lions are hurt in the linebacker department. I don't know if you saw this, but their two most important linebackers look like they're trending out here. So the plan for the Texans might be just, okay, let's try to really lean into the run now that we have a healthy Mixon. And that could really shorten this game. The Lions, this is a tough test for them against the defense, even without Will Anderson. The Texans defense is just it's good. It's fine. It's not great, but it's good. I think this could turn into like week one, like Rams Lions. That was just a freaking run fest. You got a read on that?
I would go heavy too. I'd run some 2-3 tight end stuff. I was looking at their tight end depth, and they have that Quentin Tegan Quitoriano. If you remember, he scored the first touchdown in a game last year, and someone is like, "This is who your mom thinks directed Pulp Fiction."
Quitoriano.
Tegan Quitoriano. I'd go heavy. If I don't have Nico and I'm against an aggressive pass rushing team, why let the aggressive pass rushing team and Brian Branch and letting them crash down? They went out and got a piece.
Newly acquired
Zadarius Smith from the Browns.
He's back in the NFC North.
He's back, guys. Fuck, he's been on a lot of teams, it feels like. So, yeah, I kind of like that Houston team total under against a Detroit defense. I didn't think I'd be backing a lot, but with this total being 49, it's still going to be a little bit bigger of a team total. But at the same time, I may just lay it with the Lions. If you want to go, it's an indoor game. He looked half decent, even in shitty conditions outdoors against, it's a good pass rush, but it's a good pass rush going up against an all-time offensive line.
I like the under 48.5 better personally.
Yeah,
I'm only at 46.5 here, so I think this is. And I have respect for I have a lot of respect for the Detroit offense. Believe me. By the way, Zadarius Smith has played for 5 of the 8 Norse teams. Browns, Ravens, Vikings, Packers, and now Linos. Linos making another move. Did they get somebody else too? They were rumored. So. They were rumored to have another pass rusher kind of in the crosshairs, but I don't know if they made the move yet. I could also be hallucinating.
Yeah, it's coming, and the deadline's come and gone. I don't know what you.
Oh, okay, never mind. Never mind.
They did. I don't know. They signed a couple of defensive players. Some. Practice squad guys.
Oh, okay. Maybe that.
Some of that was because of, like you mentioned, with Rodriguez. What is it? Rodriguez? Who's the other linebacker? Malcolm Rodriguez and Reeves Maven.
Yeah,
probably
Malcolm
being out.
Murray maybe matters more, but yeah, both good players. Yeah, they signed.
I think if Nico is announced out, it probably goes to
Turner.
4.
Oh, that's right. Okay, Nico's if he's announced out, you think it goes to 4?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a holding. It's a holding pattern number.
I think it's built in. Will Anderson announced out, though, might move it.
I don't think there's a big difference between 3.5 and 4, though. It's not like moving from 2.5 to 3. So Will Anderson matters a lot. This has been a very good pass rush. So I'll be on the Lions.
I'm going to play the under 40.5 because I think those two will cancel each other out in the total betting space, and I think this should be a 46-ish, 46.5-ish game. Maybe it just lands 47. That'd be lovely. 27-20, Andy. How's that sound to you?
I'll take it. 27 nothing works.
You know who has turned into a walking sack in their sophomore season? CJ Stroud.
It's been disappointing.
Yeah. He was under duress a lot and he was dealing with it. And then now it's kind of the pendulum has swung and he's not dealing with it. And you're getting some quick pressure sacks all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel
and it's you know, the did not practice list was long. The limited one was Al Shahir was limited again. Akuda's limited. Shaq Mason.
I kind of assumed a lot of that's rest.
Yeah, Tunsil is always rest because he's just a big bag. But Al Shahir still has a knee injury. Fatukasi. That's a bad groin injury. I think he's out. Kenyon Green's probably out up front on their offensive line. But a lot of it is defensive players, and that's been a kind of a recurring theme. And they haven't gotten bit yet by a really good offense. But that's where I'm a little worried about your under. It's like, hey, what if some of these defensive injuries trend out like it's been happening every week, and then you throw Will Anderson on top of it?
Okay.
But if it is, I think your opportunity to still cash is a Lions blowout.
Yep.
Where it's like, hey, we have two good running backs that are getting all of the looks in the second half, and you know, with these injuries, we're just going to move up and down the field and hopefully kick some field goals.
Okay. Monday Night Football is
MNF
Jalen Ramsey revenge game. It is sure. I don't know. I don't have any juice here. Mike McDaniel and Sean McVay both used to be in the NFC West. That's some juice, right? No. I don't have anything really on this game. I make it 2. It's 1. I mean, the market says 1. The total is 50, which is way high. I guess if you feel pretty excited about what you saw from Tua last week, then that explains some of the bullishness here on this total. Although it's come back down, was it 51 and it came down to 50? Okay, so maybe there's some under. Yeah, as a hair high. Yeah, I agree with that. I thought I'm at 49 and change here. All right, the general feeling about the Rams right now, Andy, is the market has correctly priced them finally. Still a little bit low, or upgraded them too much?
Well, for my money, there's still some room.
Oh,
and I do like Miami. I thought that was one of the best games of Tua's year. You know, it is a good offense. We've seen it last year. Like, what happened to that? Where is, you know, our team's figuring out some of this quick motion, and they're able to counteract it with the proper defensive adjustments and game planning, where it's just not this, offense from hell that we saw last year. The team's really struggling to deal with all this speed. It's still good. And they have 2 really good running backs and obviously 2 really good wide receivers. Waddle is a little hit or miss, but when he hits big. And, when Tua's playing well, he's fine. That said, this is a better pass rush. I didn't think we'd say that because it was so young. That was such a big point of contention, and not a point of contention, a point of emphasis for us in the preseason. Hey, Aaron Donald's gone. Everybody else is unknown or 22 years old. We're not super sure what we're going to get. It might be bad. Whereas Fisk and Furse are both
they're gnarly.
Another good year. Probably your defensive rookie of the year. And man, it might be a bad game for Tua.
Might be, but he was better than people kind of
I give him a
respected
lot
in
of
that
credit for last
Cardinals game,
Should've won
and
that game.
he was great in the Bills game, but he was better in the Cardinals game. Like, he's played 2 positive games. He was plus 9.2 EPA per total EPA in the Cardinals game, and plus 17.8 in the Bills game. Like, those were both solid, both clearly better than the Bills game where he got concussed. But better than his opener against the Jags too. He's actually he's gotten 2 positive EPA on the season. His EPA per dropback is the same as it was last year. I think this is gonna be a competitive one, but I don't know. Not really into the Dolphins defense right now. That unit
That's the biggest
really
issue
tough to
is
price.
just seeing what they got out of Puka 2 weeks ago, where he kind of got whatever he wanted, and basically all the injuries for the Miami defense are secondary.
Have you
Even
seen
with
an injury report?
No, it's I'm waiting for Wednesday on them yet.
Or have you seen injury rumors? There's a lot of loose lips in Miami. Zach Seiler going to be back? Was he back last week? Calais Campbell?
Braxton Berrios is not.
Emmanuel Ogba?
Don't know. Seiler was just an eye poke, I think.
Oh.
So I think he's back, but Holland and Coho, I don't have a great feeling on. And honestly, some of the guys just stink in that secondary.
Okay.
People not named. I say I like Fuller. I guess I like Fuller, but outside of Ramsey, it's been a little rough at times. Even on the amazing play Ramsey made, he got beat like a drum. That guy beat him to the slant. He just got super lucky that it hit him in the shoulder pad and bounced up. It looked like this amazing pick because it was, but he got beat badly on that play. Like, this secondary is not good. And I mean, this was an Amari Cooperless team that was trying to rely on a rookie plus whoever else and tight ends. Josh Allen throwing to guys like Quincy Morris to score. This is so much better when you have Kupp and Puka. We didn't even get to see Puka because he's off, prepping for his MMA career, apparently throwing haymakers. Whoa, a full game of Puka priced in. I have this in like a 3.
Okay.
So I'm playing the Rams again.
Ramathorns. All right.
They had a weird game last week. They had a weird game.
They had a healthy game there too. The only guy that came out was the fullback Alec Ingold. And by the looks of the snap count, I just want to know if Zach Seiler's back because for some reason he matters a ton. For whatever reason. Sorry, man.
What are you? Go ahead.
I didn't find it yet.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
McDaniel says he's optimistic.
Okay.
Oh, it was more than an eye poke. It was the orbital bone. Never mind. I just wrote eye. Turns out it was worse.
Yeah, he didn't play last week.
Okay. Who was the other guy who came back like the next week after breaking his face bone? Remember I said he broke his fucking face. Somebody came back and played the next week already this season. So
wow, really?
Probably 50-50 on that. That's got to be a painful injury every time you take a hit. What do you make your Rams to make the playoffs number right
now? It is 28.6.
I'm higher than you?
I think you are. And the reason is it's almost all division.
It's Niners and Cardinals are both at like 40.
Yeah. As I look at the NFC playoff picture right now, the only spot up for grabs is the 7.
And even though they beat them last week, Seattle will have something to say about that probably. Like, there's just too many teams trying to mash into that 7 spot. It's like we said, Philly or Washington, and then Minnesota most likely take the 5 and the 6.
Tampa might have something to say about it. Yeah.
You got Green Bay, Cardinals, Tampa, San Francisco, Seattle, Arizona, and Seattle, and the Rams. Basically the entire West plus Tampa Bay and Green Bay
and Green
If the
Bay.
Bears win this week, they're right back in that conversation as well.
I make the Bears.
I have the Bears lower. 17.8.
15.3.
What is your Tampa number? I'm at a flat 40.
I can't remember if I resimmed after the result, but it's probably not going to matter because I was low on them winning that anyway. 26.5 for Tampa.
I have them at 8.8 wins. My Tampa number saw us high.
I have 8.3 for Tampa. So whoever gets to 9 wins gets that 7 seed and is booking their flight to Washington? Question mark.
My highest percentage, my most
Really?
likely 7 seed is Green Bay.
I am Green Bay also.
Lions, Commanders, Philly, Atlanta, Vikings, and then obviously an NFC West champ in there as well in the 4 spot probably.
I have
Green Bay.
I have Commanders, Eagles, NFC East very close to 50-50. 50.8 for the Commanders, 48.8 for the Eagles.
Should we do some lip service here? The biggest threat to Detroit is probably a team that can hang with them in the offense, like we saw, where it's like, their defense became a problem. Well, I was just going to say Washington because it's Sam.
Washington's fun too.
But it is probably Washington or the Niners, a team that is like, oh, this is a really good offense, and Detroit's defense is gettable. And if they have a couple slip ups on offense, their defense might not be able to hold a lead like we saw. It's kind of the same thing we saw last year in the playoffs, how they lost.
I would love
Washington Niners than Vikings.
I would love for the Commanders to do something. I would love for the Commanders to do something fun in the playoffs, right? Rams definitely, or they're definitely a threat. Call. Here's some fun thought food for your thought popsicle for your head ball with your ear tongue, but I don't remember. Thought popsicle for your ear tongue. I can't remember what the saying is.
Sounds saying.
Let's lock Minnesota in the 5. Let's put Philly in the 6. Whoever comes into that 7 spot, Rams or Packers would be my 2 most likely. Goes to Washington in the 2-7 for Jaden Daniels playoff debutant.
Man, I'd way rather pay the Packers than the Rams there.
Oh shit! Yeah, without question,
McVay would scramble Quinn.
Yeah, well, see, that's not fun. That's the fun. That's
until
the
it came to the end.
Although Packers, you know what the Packers did in the 2-7 last year? They scrambled Quinn.
They scrambled Quinn.
They did.
God, that was a bad game. Dallas, Jesus Christ.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm really hoping that the Commanders get the 2 seed. And
that would be a really good game.
Be a great game. And I think the Commanders by that point would probably be favored. And Andy's premonition of you can't cover every game finally comes home. That would be awesome.
That's
we just need the Commanders to cover every game between now and then. Is that too much to ask?
I mean, how many teams in the NFC are the Commanders not at least, on pace with? It's the Lions and Philly, maybe?
Yeah.
So because let's say you give them a 1.5 home field.
Yeah.
They're going to be favored in any game that wouldn't be probably the Lions. And that's the Lions coming to Washington seems unlikely because of the current records.
Yes.
Many took the cup in the lip. Also, let's kind of an honorary mention, the Eagles, if their game plan revolved around, hey, guess what, Detroit, you're getting 5 offensive drives in this game, and they were able to do it, they can win that game.
I will tell you this. The best possible entertainment outcome, I think, for this playoffs in the NFC is Commanders Rams. You get McVay going back to Washington. Like, ooh, there's this.
Is he on that staff?
Andy's being sarcastic because that's
Yeah.
broadly covered.
I've seen that picture.
McVay goes back to Washington. He beats the debutante. And then that automatically sets up 1-7. Linos Rams. Awesome. Rematch of week 1. Rematch of last year's playoffs. Would absolutely love it. Love it. Would love to see Linos Rams. And would love to see Niners Rams again. I'm sorry. Would love to see Niners Linos again. Would love to see Commanders. Eagles would be fine. Basically, the NFC playoffs look a lot more fun to me right now than the AFC by a lot.
There's going to be a team that misses the NFC playoffs that I would have 3 points better on a neutral than the 7 seed in the AFC. I feel like
I agree.
Kind of where we're going to be at. One of these teams that misses is going to be like, man, this team would probably beat the 3 seed, the 4 seed in the AFC, which stinks. And that's how it goes. Sometimes it's how it goes.
Yep. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Is that the saying?
You take the good, you take the bad,
take
you take it all, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life. You're old enough to remember that.
I never saw that show.
Really?
No.
Did you watch?
Was that Fat Albert?
Did you watch Different Strokes? No, it was a bunch of girls that lived in, I don't know, it was like an orphanage or something. I don't remember exactly how it went.
George Clooney in that?
No, he was in ER.
Well, before that, though.
Blair. Patrick is so old too. Patrick's favorite, I think it was him. Patrick's favorite movies in the Discord were all like, the jazz singer and the little
Blair.
dictator.
Blair had a do. What a hairdo! Oh man, nice flowing golden locks there. Lisa Wechel, never heard of her.
She was the good looking one. Blair, not Clooney. All right. Let's call it a week. There wasn't a ton of game. Did we land on a team total we like? You know what else we didn't?
Wildly off that George Clooney was in that show. No, he was in 17 episodes of that show. I fucking knew it. Anyway,
you couldn't tell me what the show was. And
I don't know why I knew that.
You're like, George Clooney was in that. I don't remember that at all.
He was in 17 episodes. Pamela Adlon was in that. I like her show. That's good fun.
I feel like one of the Phillips girls was in. Maybe I'm thinking of a different show.
That's a different one, I think. Anyway.
Phillips? All right. She was in Dawson's Creek. All right. What was our shower fart? There's kind of a lack of a good. Is it just a? You know what? I
think we gotta have
the team total.
Giants Panthers is your shower fart, but it's international, so love it, Lil. Coffee in the shower fart.
It is called a douche fits. If you wanna learn a little German today. I didn't know. They take every word and make it into a long combination. Everything's a portmanteau with these guys. So, according to Google, it is a douche fits.
Douche fits. I like it. I love it. In Munich. In München. A München douche fits.
A München
douche fits. München.
All right. My mom can see
the team total. You want to do Jets? 20.
How did you feel about it?
I like it. 20. It's gonna be like 22 and a half. We just gotta get 23. They replaced Greg Zuerlein.
Yeah, we got screwed on a team total last week with the kicker
missed XP.
Injury.
Well,
Vikings kicker didn't make anything.
Oh, right. That sucked. That really fucking sucked. I forgot about that. All right. Well, enjoy your douche shirts. We'll see you in TNF, Amazon. Thursday Night Football.
Stay